In ancient times, during an era when humans and demons coexisted, humanity lived in happiness and comfort under the rule of the Imperial Federation. However, peace did not last long. The Demon King, who brought chaos, emerged from the abyss once again. He captured the Empire's princess and declared that if they wanted her back, they must surrender world domination to the demon race. The words of the Demon Lord ignited the anger of the entire Empire's population. At this critical moment, a young man appeared, Akatsuki, the hero, who vowed to rescue the princess from the Demon King's clutches. Everyone believed that the Demon King's army was formidable, and the journey would be arduous. But Akatsuki believed that the princess might suffer even more in the demon realm. Meanwhile, how was the princess faring in the Demon Kingdom? Was she in pain, imprisoned within the castle walls? Perhaps she wasn't merely idle there. Her name was Suza, and she felt utterly bored as the Demon King's forces paid little attention to her. They considered her a mere hostage. She no longer felt any loyalty to the Empire. While the 3 meals a day were pleasant, she couldn't sleep due to the strange creatures around her. Moreover, the cheap pillow provided was uncomfortable. Suza's first task was to make a new pillow, but where could she find fabric and cotton? Suddenly, 2 stuffed bears entered, offering her food. An idea struck her: she could use their fur for stuffing. Instead of harming them, she decided to groom the bears and collect the excess fur. The bears seemed delighted by the attention. Suza hoped they would give her a key in exchange for a comb. She managed to escape and, soon after, the castle guards noticed her movements. A hedgehog guard approached to investigate. Suza secretly plucked some of its quills to use as makeshift needles. Then, she tricked a headless guard into believing the princess was ill and needed herbs. With her supplies, she set to work on the pillow. First, she sewed the pillowcase and dyed it with the herbs. Finally, she stuffed it with cotton, creating a luxurious pillow. When she had a new pillow, she immediately felt sleepy and collapsed. At this moment, the Demon King appeared very angry. Upon hearing that the princess had escaped from the prison for a while, he intended to ask her if she felt desperate in this castle. However, when the Demon King arrived at the prison, he saw that she had been sleeping for who knows how long. Not wanting to wake her up, he decided to overlook it this time and instructed his subordinates to retrieve the key. Meanwhile, in the kingdom, everyone worried about the princess and the hero, but there was still no news. When she woke up, the princess noticed scars on her face from the rough beatings here, not to mention the crown that left a mark on her forehead. She decided to make a headband for better sleep and needed tools for these tasks. Shortly after, a winged wizard's arm made of scissors suddenly appeared, delivering breakfast to her. The annoying scissor arm prompted the princess to exchange her crown for the wizard's scissors, creating a headband shaped like a crown. However, the scar on her face remained unresolved. She realized that the oversized scissors must serve a purpose, and suddenly, a passerby wearing a cloak caught her eye. Using a comb, the princess summoned 2 teddy bears to open the door for her and stepped outside. The castle's demons were terrified to see her hunting for a cloak with scissors. Despite her efforts, she couldn't find suitable fabric for the beddings. One by one, she cut up various cloaks, but none met her standards. Then, passing by a storage room, she spotted a pitiful-looking ghost. She harvested most of the ghost's body to create an elegant bedding. After performing a ritual, she leaped onto the bed, delighted, and drifted back to sleep. When the news reached the Demon King that the princess had escaped again, he scolded her, but she was already lost in slumber, so he forgave her once more. The hero had returned, informing everyone about the numerous monsters on the road and the princess's current plight. Not long after, the princess continued to be unable to sleep due to the loud snoring of the monsters around this castle. After searching for another place to rest comfortably, she accidentally wandered into the treasure vault of the Demon King. She dropped a shield to the ground without interest, but then stumbled upon a diamond and fell onto the shield. She realized that this wind shield could serve as a bed, but she only needed the wind source from it, not the entire shield. Suddenly, a diamond-armored soldier appeared, having discovered her presence. However, she swiftly subdued him, wrapping him in a cloth to silence the wind-generating core on the shield. Meanwhile, the Demon Lord received news that a hero was leading an attack against them, so he ordered his subordinates to retrieve the wind shield, as it was the most powerful weapon of the demon race. The shield was fragile, though, and unbeknownst to him, the princess had already broken it to extract the wind core. With what she wanted in hand, the princess navigated a treacherous path back to her room, accidentally stepping on a slime and falling into a pool of slime. The terrified monsters quickly summoned a demon priest who resurrected her. To her horror, she realized she had been lying in a coffin all this time, but she discovered it could make an excellent soundproof bed. Using the demon priest's horn, she smoothed the coffin surface and polished it with the slime. Once done, she lay down and slept soundly. The bewildered monsters had to carry the coffin back to their prison, astonished that the princess chose to sleep in such a vessel. The demon lord wondered if kidnapping the princess had been a mistake. What kind of hostage would sleep so peacefully in a demon castle? Meanwhile, the hero Akatsuki and his team were lost in a dungeon within the demon lord's lair. They planned to battle the demon lord, but he toyed with them before departing, confident they would meet their demise there. Inside the demon lord's castle, the monsters were busy caring for the newly laid phoenix eggs, a process that occurred only once a century. Suddenly, they discovered that the princess was crawling up the tower containing these eggs. Earlier, upon waking up, she noticed her hand had been bitten by a mosquito. Previously, she had never been bitten by mosquitoes because the palace was extremely sealed, while the Demon King's castle had open windows and exposed ceilings, allowing mosquitoes to attack her anytime. Realizing she needed a mosquito net, she decided to use a larger piece of fabric than the ghost carpet she had just used. The leader of the ghost minions sought revenge on the princess for harming his subordinates, but she defeated him and used his fabric for the net. However, a new problem arose. There was no place to hang the net, so she decided to suspend it from the Phoenix Tower. As she pondered how to hang it, a cat climbed the wall and brought her food. Noticing the cat's wall-climbing shoes, she scolded it for wearing shoes inside her room. She swiftly took the shoes, explaining she wanted to borrow them. With the shoes, she climbed the Phoenix Tower to attach the net. The Demon King panicked when he heard about the magical healing properties of the phoenix eggs, suspecting she was stealing them for the hero. He mobilized his forces to stop her, believing she intended to steal the eggs. The guards were determined not to let her take the phoenix eggs. However, just as the guards arrived, the princess finished tying the net and prepared to descend. The phoenix eggs healed her mosquito bite, leaving the guards puzzled about why she climbed the tower. Finally, she had an opulent mosquito net like in the palace, ensuring peaceful sleep and waking up with flawless skin, except for the mosquito bite. Meanwhile, the Demon King questioned the ghosts, who confirmed the princess hadn't stolen any eggs. Back with the heroes group, after escaping the maze, they encountered a powerful wind dragon. They retreated to preserve their strength. The Council of Elders in the Demon Kingdom had just created an extremely potent sleeping potion. During their meeting, the princess suddenly entered, requesting the potion to help her sleep better. However, the elders reclaimed the potion, leaving her no choice but to devise a plan to steal it. She sneaked out of her room, but a creature noticed her, marking her 97th violation. While wandering the castle, she spotted a soft-looking mushroom forest and decided to rest there. Unfortunately, the mushrooms were poisonous, and she immediately felt ill. Her 98th blunder occurred when news spread that she had died from sleeping on the toxic mushrooms. The Demon Lord considered her a fool, but he was even more surprised to learn that she typically died once a week. In her most recent escapade, she sought relief for her sore back from a lightning dragon. However, the dragon's strike was too powerful, and she ascended to the heavens. The weary demon priest had resurrected her countless times. Despite his admonitions, she remained reckless. The Demon Lord was now certain she was a fool. For her 99th offense, she tricked a headless soldier into believing a rebellious demon needed the sleeping potion. Unexpectedly, a werewolf named Kai appeared, exposing her deceit. Kai aimed to correct her behavior, believing hostages should not act so carefree. When he inspected her cell, he was shocked. It resembled a pigsty. He scolded her for not showing fear or insomnia. Kai's surprise grew when he discovered she had stolen various items from the castle. From giant scissors to cat shoes, she claimed to borrow or acquire them. Even the gruesome mausoleum decorations were part of her collection. She had even pilfered coffins from the demon priest to create a soundproof bed, leaving the nearby vampires sleepless. Moreover, he even found the stuffed bear that she claimed was her pet, and Kai decided to keep it for her. Immediately, Kai instructed someone to clean up all the belongings she had taken here. Shortly after, Kai made the princess listen to the castle rules set by the Demon King. However, while Kai was reading the rules, she fell onto his soft fur and fell asleep. He felt extremely disappointed because this princess couldn't be disciplined. Later, Kai encountered the Demon King again and planned to confront the princess by trimming her fur. However, the Demon King seemed uninterested, so Kai reconsidered his approach. The Demon King couldn't fathom why this supposedly captive princess slept so soundly. Deep within the castle, there was a powerful sealed magic book. People believed it was difficult to read because it eroded human minds. The princess knew about it and wanted to steal the book to read herself, but once she found it, she lost interest. Earlier, she had disguised herself to deceive the guards and sneaked into the library to find the magic book. However, the enchantments in the book only drained her mana, making her feel drowsy. Exhausted, she collapsed on the stairs, accidentally breaking the seals and revealing the hidden magic book. Upon seeing the magic book, the princess felt elated. Suddenly, the book's spirit materialized as a young boy named Alazip, who offered to teach her magic. However, she insisted on stuffing Alazip back into the book because she only wanted to sleep, not learn magic. Alazip explained his abilities, but the princess demanded he teach her a sleep spell. Meanwhile, the Demon King and his subordinates tested the castle's new security camera system. After mastering the sleep spell, the princess used it throughout the entire castle. Even the Demon King fell asleep. Ironically, she was furious because she wanted to sleep herself, not everyone else. Alazip tried to escape, but she lay there pretending to be innocent. Eventually, she nestled among the books and drifted off to sleep, much to Alazip's astonishment. Meanwhile, the heroic team succeeded in defeating the Wind Dragon and its golem companion. Returning to the princess. She had been experimenting with medicine, hoping acupuncture would cure her insomnia. However, she couldn't reach her own back, so she asked her teddy bear for help. Unfortunately, the bear's soft, fingerless paws couldn't perform acupuncture. Next, she sought the guard's assistance, but Kai forbade her from any more nonsense. She insisted someone touch her body. The embarrassed guards fled, thinking she wanted something else. Perceiving their confusion, she assumed they feared their hands weren't suitable for acupuncture. She approached a demon monk and repeated her request. Shocked, he collapsed, unable to comprehend her intentions. Returning to her room, disappointed by the lack of an acupuncturist, she unexpectedly encountered the Demon King. His hand seemed suitable, so she pulled him into her room and asked him to perform acupuncture on her back. However, he recalled reading about this and assumed she was inviting him for other reasons. Undeterred, he boldly pressed 2 points on her back. As she drifted into peaceful sleep, the outside world finally understood her true intention. Later, she longed to wake up to morning light, as the Demon King's castle remained shrouded in darkness. She noticed a bright source outside and prepared tools to reach it. The guards knew she had escaped but believed she couldn't leave the castle due to a fearsome guardian. She used a magic carpet for the maze and a rug to leap across a chasm. The castle announced her escape. Upon hearing the news, she headed toward the sacred forest. Chaos ensued. Projected images showed her smiling as she entered the forest, but she was merely basking in the light. The Demon King worried. The forest housed his luminous sword. Seeing her easily retrieve the sword, the guards assumed she intended to give it to the hero. They panicked, chasing her into the forest. Bewildered, she wandered back. Finally, she tied the sword to her window frame, using a thin cloth to reveal its morning light when she woke up. Despite being a prisoner, she still bathed like others, although the Demon King's tub was far smaller than the palace's. The princess, infuriated, smashed the bathtub because she desperately wanted to try sleeping in it. It turned out that the demons had assumed she was as small as a chicken, so they made a tiny tub for her. Determined, the princess decided to create a large bathtub for herself. The first thing she needed was a hot water source. She dragged an incredibly long water hose to the public bath, causing panic among the soldiers. But she calmly connected the hose to the water supply in her room. Still, she needed a bigger tub. Then she overheard Kai advising a two-headed fire dragon not to spew flames recklessly. Inspired, she wanted to use the dragon's shell as her bathtub. She grabbed the dragon's fire and placed it in the tail of a rocket turtle, causing it to explode. The princess brought the turtle shell to her room, filled it with water, and transformed it into her dream bathtub. She luxuriated in it, but Kai scolded her and made her reassemble the rocket turtle. As summer arrived, the demon castle became unbearably hot due to a constant flow of molten lava beneath it. The princess couldn't sleep in such heat. She even wished for something cool to eat, but the demons served her hot dishes. And every summer, a regular ice golem led the demon protest demanding frozen lava. Because they cannot work in such a sweltering environment, but the fire demons do not want to freeze the lava, the two factions fight each other every year. The princess knew that the home of the ice demons was so cold that everything there was frozen. Therefore, she wanted to go there to get some ice to cool her room. However, she needed to find thermal clothing to avoid being frozen. While pondering what to use for insulation, the princess suddenly saw a tire demon. She immediately killed him and turned him into thermal wear. After obtaining the thermal clothing, the princess could easily enter the ice demon's frozen area. The pile of tires gradually froze. When the ice demons saw the princess, they mistook her for their ice golem boss. So, the ice demons pulled the princess up to give a speech about the freezing of lava. The princess said that the first step of the campaign was to build an ice hut in her room. The purpose was to establish a base for the campaign and what follows. She also demanded to capture some cute seals to keep as pets. The reason was to build a positive image in the eyes of the fire demons. However, when the ice golem returned, the princess sneaked behind him and dealt with him in an instant. She wanted the ice demons to obey her when starting the campaign. She tricked them into believing that she had been secretly appointed as the next demon king. Therefore, the ice demons decided to flatter her to gain power. They quickly built her a very cool ice hut in the prison room to help her sleep in this hot weather. Moreover, they became servants to her, believing they would soon be promoted without realizing they were being exploited. Kai soon discovered her and made her reassemble the ice golem. He then confiscated the seal that the princess really wanted to try sleeping on the belly of the stuffed bears. Therefore, she stole a watch that could shrink the user's body. However, the watch turned her into a child instead of a tiny person. With such a tiny body, the princess couldn't return to her room. So, the princess asked the hedgehog demon and the bull-headed demon to make a ladder for her to climb. But while climbing, she was hurt by the hedgehog's spines. She then remembered that she was also taciturn as a child, so she couldn't ask them to take her back to her room. Thus, the hedgehog demon carried her and found it enjoyable. After that, the other guards fought over carrying her because everyone wanted to try holding a human child. Feeling troubled, the princess plucked some spines from the hedgehog demon to throw at the others. The hedgehog demon became scared and obediently took her back to her room. However, when she saw the demon king walking with two high-ranking generals, the princess couldn't fight them. So, she had to stay there and become a pet for them to pamper. But when pampered like this, she felt sleepy and dozed off without realizing it. Since the war between the demons and humans broke out, the demon king had sent soldiers everywhere. Today is the day the female warriors of the demon race returned to the castle from the battlefield. But the princess didn't care because she was busy thinking about getting a new mattress. However, a female demon named Happy suddenly came to talk to the princess because she was very interested in human culture. Finding Happy too troublesome, the princess pretended to be cold and ignored her. The princess even put a pillowcase over Happy's head when she kept babbling around. When Happy asked who the princess loved, she erected a barrier of bears to isolate herself. The demon king suddenly appeared and opened the door for Happy to come in and play with the princess. But the princess used the hedgehog soldier's spines to knock out Happy in an instant. Happy thought the princess didn't like playing with a demon like her. Since she was young, she had wanted to have a sleepover party with a human friend. Right after that, Happy spread her wings to the princess's amazement. Seeing the soft feathers, the princess wanted to use them as a blanket. So, she agreed to become friends with Happy and told her to stay for a sleepover party, which made her extremely happy. But when he lay on the bed, the princess didn't chat with Happy. Instead, she fell asleep immediately. However, while sleeping, they fell to the ground because the princess's bed was too small. So, the princess asked Happy if he knew of anything suitable to make a new bed. Happy said that he and the other birds often slept on the castle's symbolic horns. Because, in fact, those horns were made of a particularly soft type of cotton. Upon hearing this, the princess tied a cloth to Happy's leg and told him to carry her up there. But Happy was afraid that if he carried the princess like that, his legs would break. Nevertheless, not wanting the princess to be sad, Happy agreed to carry her onto the horn. As soon as they flew up, Happy's legs gave out, unable to take another step. Happy was very shocked to see the princess cutting all the cotton from the horn to make a mattress. But when he learned that the princess did it so Happy could sleep with her, he felt extremely happy and decided to continue carrying the princess and the huge mattress back to the room. After getting a bigger bed, the princess and Happy could sleep well without falling out of bed anymore. And the demon king was in a panic when he saw one of the castle's horns broken off. But since Happy kept bothering the princess every day, she returned the mattress to the demon king in hopes of getting rid of Happy. I learned that one of the demon king's generals named Sand Dune had just been defeated by the hero team. So, the demon king quickly summoned his generals for an emergency meeting. However, they were very annoyed because the princess kept playing the trumpet very loudly next to them. After being scolded by the demon king and Kai, the princess sadly returned to her room. A female forest demon named Neo thought the princess must be very miserable after being kidnapped by the demon king. So, the demon king and Kai had Neo monitor the princess through a screen. They thought the female demons had been away from home for a while and didn't know how bossy and annoying the princess was. Right after that, everyone saw the princess cutting down a tree to make a bed. Neo was speechless when she realized that the tree the princess was cutting down was her own brother. After dozens of powerful sawing motions, the princess quickly cut her brother Neo into several pieces. Neo now had a completely different view of the princess. After witnessing the terrifying scene, the princess was carrying her brother's body back to her room to make a bed. The heroes' team has faced countless challenges in their quest to rescue the princess. Meanwhile, the princess is having trouble after accidentally spilling soda on the blanket. She will have to wash it herself because it will surely stain before the laundry service arrives. The Demon King is eager to fight the hero at his castle. However, the heroes' team keeps getting lost on the direct route here, foolishly. Neo suggested that the Demon King use their healing water pond to help the heroes' team arrive safely. But they did not expect that the princess was washing her blanket in that pond. If the water gets a bit dirty, its healing properties will be lost. She even used the Demon King's precious tornado bomb to turn the water pond into a washing machine. A master craftsman named Zappo, who works for the Demon King, just created a powerful robot. He wants the robot to fight the heroes' team and lure them here. However, while looking for a place to dry her blanket, the princess saw Zappo's robot. She thrust her clothes pole straight into the robot's core, causing a system error. The robot spun wildly and then exploded. The princess's blanket was unharmed, and she was very happy to have successfully cleaned her beloved garment. The Demon King and his generals were stunned. Seeing Zappo's robot turned into a pile of scrap metal, winter is coming, and the princess did not bring any woolen shorts. She was too embarrassed to ask the guards to make woolen shorts for her. Instead of speaking, the princess signaled to the guards that she wanted to make woolen shorts. But the guards thought she wanted to kill them. Within 2 seconds, the princess ran to find a secluded place to secretly sew the shorts. Kai's guards suddenly caught the princess, so she used Morse code to explain that she was making shorts for them. But the nearby Medusa demon thought she was sending signals to communicate with the universe. Given the princess's strange actions, the demons believed she was creating a weapon to destroy the castle. But at this moment, the princess had crawled into something very large, which was covered up for short sewing. However, the princess accidentally stepped on and dropped a piece of cloth, revealing a very terrifying robot that made the soldiers flee in fear. But it turned out that this was the robot that Zappo had just created to replace her. Previously destroyed by the princess after finishing the shorts, she could now sleep well in the upcoming cold winter. Meanwhile, the guards were ready to fight, thinking that the princess had created the robot. At that time, the hero team arrived at a lava lake and unfortunately fell into it, while the princess remembered her mother teaching her a way to sleep better, but she couldn't remember the rest of the advice. Suddenly, she noticed the Demon King passing by. He seemed tired and would wither if he didn't sleep, and if he withered, the entire castle would collapse. Not wanting that to happen, the princess decided to help the Demon King sleep. She sang a lullaby with the bears, but the Demon King thought she was cursing him. She had him read a forbidden spell book, but it was ineffective. She thought about feeding him something like grass and straw, but he was not a cow. Then she took him to be struck by lightning from the Thunder Dragon, but he dodged. Next, she dropped him from a height to knock him out and even gave him poison, but the Demon King still did not die, which was fortunate. The Demon King wondered why the princess used these methods. Did she also find ways to sleep like this? No way. The Demon King realized he was wrong to keep this terrifying princess here and wondered if he should swallow his pride and return her. As he thought of his father, the princess noticed he also cherished his father. And then she remembered how her mother used to help her sleep. She approached with a scary face, but it was to stroke the Demon King's head. He fell asleep immediately as she continued to stroke his head, and the princess also remembered falling asleep while being stroked by her mother. She fell asleep with a teddy bear, and then the bear took the princess back to her room, leaving the Demon King there. After a perilous journey, the team of heroes returned to the starting point, the Empire. Not long after, in the still of the night, while deep in slumber, the princess was kidnapped by someone. The next day, the Demon King and his generals felt very unusual when they did not find the princess in her room, nor did they see her around the castle. Upon finding and reading a letter left by the kidnapper, the Demon King's group was extremely panicked to learn that the princess had been taken. At this time, the princess had been captured and taken to the old demon castle by someone named Hades. The Demon King and his generals now knew the true identity of the kidnapper. Although Hades was one of the great generals of the Demon King, he often opposed his master. This time, he kidnapped the princess to force the Demon King to relinquish his position as the head of the demon tribe to him. Hades imprisoned the princess in an old, dilapidated cell, not as comfortable as the Demon King's place. Even the pillow was so cheap that she could not sleep. Therefore, the princess was determined to find materials to make a new pillow like before. Soon after, 3 little demons, minions of Hades, suddenly came to the cell to taunt the princess. But she broke the cell door with a bomb, leaving Hades' minions stunned. At that moment, Hades called and demanded the Demon King meet his demands if he wanted to save the princess. However, the Demon King and his generals were very surprised to see the princess sneaking behind Hades. She tore Hades' cloak, so everyone on the Demon King's side had to shout to distract him. When she succeeded in tearing the cloak, everyone was as happy as if they had a bountiful harvest. Hades, still unaware, had just been embarrassed in front of his rivals, left with only his shorts. The princess took Hades' cloak, wrapped it around the cheap pillow, and made a more luxurious pillow. After getting the new pillow, she could easily fall asleep. However, this pillow was only a temporary solution for the princess because she could not sleep long-term on such a messy, tattered bed. So, she went all over the castle to find materials for a new bed. But the old demon castle was arranged with many traps, making her extremely uncomfortable. Later, the princess discovered a demon who could sleep in such a place. He was the demon embodiment of sleepiness and had to sleep at least 20 hours a day to survive. Upon hearing that, the princess accepted him as her master to learn how to sleep anytime, anywhere. The sleep demon took her to an electrostatic trap and showed her that by flipping this electric panel, there would be soft cotton underneath for her to sleep on. However, the princess smashed the power battery to cut off the electricity, making it easier to flip. Destroying the battery would activate the trap, but she blocked the sharp spikes. She also blocked the incoming axe, and dodged the fireballs as if in a Matrix movie. Afterward, she arranged and placed cotton pads on moving platforms. She did this because staying in one place would result in being hit by fireballs, so this arrangement allowed her cotton bed to move and dodge the fireballs. Seeing that she had skillfully applied the knowledge he taught, the sleep demon hoped she would go even further. At this time, the Demon King was ordering his generals to go to Hades' castle to rescue the princess, and Hades had already detected the Demon King approaching. Meanwhile, the princess was stripping all the fur coats from him to make a mattress. Hades was not the least bit afraid as the Demon King's army advanced into the castle. He was confident in possessing many powerful magic tools, but what he didn't know was that the princess was destroying all those magic tools to make her bed. Even his private plane caught her attention. Immediately after, the Demon King's army went straight into Hades' room to face him. As they were preparing to fight, they suddenly saw the princess piloting the plane away. The Demon King and his generals immediately abandoned the impending battle and hurriedly chased after the princess, fearing she would escape. However, the princess returned to the Demon King's castle because she had grown accustomed to sleeping on the bed she made there. Not long after, the Demon King was holding a special meeting because the hero team was about to arrive at the ancient volcano area, and the great general appointed to fight the hero this time was the poison fire dragon. But as everyone was discussing, the princess walked into the meeting room very naturally. It turned out that the princess had just had a nightmare, so she wanted to tell everyone to alleviate her fear. Although he found this to be nonsensical, the Demon King still had to let her tell her story. The princess revealed that recently, she often dreamed of the dark days when she was little. In her dream, she saw a clumsy blonde boy who would press thorny roses against her face. Even when she saw a bee about to sting her, he caught it and ate it. While everyone wanted the princess to stop her story so they could discuss, she continued to tell it. The blonde boy once took the princess into the forest to play, but they got lost because he has a very poor sense of direction. He even continuously fell into traps in the forest in the most foolish ways. Although they often played together, the princess could not remember his name, and everyone felt sorry for him for having to be friends with this girl. However, they were very surprised to learn that he was the princess's fiancé. After sharing her dream with everyone, the princess returned to her bedroom to take a nap, but the demon priest realized that the boy the princess mentioned seemed to be the hero Akatsuki. So, he decided to challenge the poison fire dragon, urging the hero to set off immediately. A few days later, the poison fire dragon went to the ancient volcano to confront the hero team. Meanwhile, the princess was writing an obituary to send to the Queen Mother, reporting that she was suffering from a disease that kept her from sleeping. When two demons arrived, they discovered that the princess had a toothache, which was why she could not sleep. They took her to a demon dentist for an examination. However, the princess refused to open her mouth, making it impossible for the dentist to check her teeth. The dentist wanted her to open her mouth, otherwise, he could not treat her, but she was afraid and only wanted to take medicine. He tricked her into thinking that the toothache was caused by little demons wreaking havoc inside, so she needed to open her mouth. She opened her mouth too slightly, so he tried to force it wider, but she headbutted him and ran away. However, she was in too much pain to run far. After that, with no other choice, they had to tie the princess up tightly, and they also realized that she did not want others to look inside her mouth. The Demon King and Kai searched the books for information but did not understand the significance of the princess's refusal to open her mouth. They suspected she had contracted another disease. Thus, rumors about the princess suffering from an incurable illness spread throughout the castle. One person whispered a little, another added more, and it turned into nonsensical gossip. Everyone came to cheer for the princess. In the end, she said that she only allowed her stuffed bear to look into her mouth. So, the dentist had to let a stuffed bear look into her mouth and describe the cavity. It turned out that the princess didn't want others to see her mouth because she had a shorter tongue than usual. Afterward, the princess slept, and the dentist was angry because they could have simply put her to sleep and treated her quickly. Meanwhile, the toxic flame dragon had been battling the hero for 3 days and nights at the ancient volcano. But the toxic flame dragon was defeated by the hero and returned to the castle with injuries all over his body. However, the toxic flame dragon claimed that he lost the battle because his item bag had been swapped by the princess with a cursed bag, and the healing potions were empty. His bomb was also swapped for avocados, so he couldn't fight properly. He suddenly remembered that the person who put avocados in the toxic flame dragon's bag was actually her, because she thought the princess would steal the bombs. So, she put avocados there instead, thinking if the princess fumbled around, she would take an avocado instead of a bomb. And then she forgot to switch them back, which led to the toxic flame dragon's downfall, and she falsely accused the princess of this deed. Next, the toxic flame dragon's book of dark magic was also swapped for a fairy tale book. Kai remembered this was because he didn't want the princess to touch the fairy tale book, but she insisted, so he grabbed the nearest book of dark magic and gave it to her. But Kai didn't dare admit his mistake and falsely accused the princess as well. Not to mention, the giant robot used to fight the hero was also transformed into a dwarf mushroom-shaped princess robot. This was because when the princess complained that the old robot was too ugly, the Demon King modified it according to her wishes, and that was the result. The Demon King also blamed the princess. But the ultimate reason the toxic flame dragon lost the battle was that someone had planted a bomb in his bag. As soon as he used a skill, it exploded. The demon priest suddenly remembered that he had put a heavy bomb in the bag for the toxic flame dragon to use, intending to blow up both the toxic flame dragon and the hero team as a last resort. This was a temptation by the evil demon, and he too falsely accused the princess. The toxic flame dragon was furious and went to scold the princess for her reckless meddling. But everyone was afraid that the toxic flame dragon would discover the truth, so they quickly stopped him. The princess was still sleeping, while the rest outside tried to calm the toxic flame dragon. He's just a child, what does he know? Meanwhile, the team of heroes continues to advance. A few days later, the princess showed great interest when she saw a water mattress on TV made by humans. She decided to order one, but when she called, they didn't deliver to this demon castle, so she angrily smashed the phone. In just 1 week, the princess had caused more than a dozen acts of destruction and violence against the demons. Everyone realized that they had given the princess too much freedom here, and now the Demon King could no longer ignore it. So, this time, the Demon King decided to let the princess know that she is a hostage and he would organize a hostage training week. After discussing it, he didn't know how to avoid setting dangerous traps around the prison room while still making the princess aware that she is a hostage. Someone suggested ignoring the princess, which the Demon King found to be a good idea. He ordered everyone in the castle to ignore the princess. Since she couldn't buy the water mattress, she decided to make one herself. She planned to fill a bag with water and frame it with wood to create a mold. Then she went outside to the soldiers. When the princess went to find materials, they ignored her as per the superior's orders. She found it much easier to move around since the soldiers did not stop her. Later, when the princess wanted to go to the storeroom, Kai blocked the door and pretended to ignore her. But she suddenly tied a rope around Kai's neck and pulled him along. Kai resisted and caused the princess to fall. The demon priest was shocked to see the princess pulling Kai by the neck. Kai was only afraid that the princess would get hurt, so he followed her without resisting. The demon priest tried to ignore her too, but when he bent down and saw the princess's leg slip, he became worried. He was also tied by the neck by her and led to the Demon King. When the Demon King saw 2 of his subordinates being led by the princess like dogs, he came to scold them. She tricked the Demon King into bending down, then chained him and pulled him along. To the guard's astonishment, the princess planned to use the horns of these 3 to make holes in the wooden frame. However, she still needed to find rope to tie and anchor it. Suddenly, she appeared and scolded the Demon King and the 2 generals. Because she had already torn the princess's work, she yawned and felt ignored. Seeing the princess tearful, they thought she was sad about being ignored. So, they decided to help her make that water pool as a way to make amends. Finally, the princess completed the water mattress and climbed up to sleep soundly. Since the strategy of ignoring her failed, the Demon King had to convene another meeting. Hades called, so the Demon King asked Hades for his opinion. Hades wanted him to bring the princess over, and Hades would make sure the princess couldn't run and jump anymore. The Demon King suddenly had an idea to make the princess do hard labor without any help. This would give her less time to cause trouble. He then gave the princess a pile of books and ordered her to finish them within a month. However, the princess found it very interesting because it had been a long time since she had done any work instead of sleeping. In the palace, books were also piled up like mountains. Right after that, the princess decided to complete the assigned work. She went to the guards' canteen to work to alleviate her loneliness. She worked diligently, and when the guards came to see, they realized it was all student homework. But she refused to admit it was homework. She said it was the princess's work. Then she went outside to write a report on plant observation. Next, she wrote a diary but only about one day. She justified that if she finished in one day, she only needed to write a diary about that one day. The guards didn't understand why she was so diligent today. She revealed that she wasn't allowed to sleep until the work was done. It seemed this was the dark side of royalty. The guards wanted to help her with trivial tasks, so she asked them to help her research which demon skin made the best bed. The whole group immediately ran away because the princess chased them with scissors. By the end of the day, she had completed the pile of work that Kai assigned in just one day, leaving everyone speechless. But she didn't understand what kind of education the demons here had to assign her first-grade math. Seeing that the homework plan seemed ineffective, the Demon King took the princess to the castle's human prisoner prison. Everyone explained to the princess that prisoners should be miserably imprisoned like that. But she was a special case, so she was treated luxuriously. Princess Quiet is determined that from now on she will act like a genuine hostage. She then blurted out a few phrases that people say to the bull-headed demon, which made him a bit disappointed. However, he soon cheered up and left, and she immediately entered the prison cell to play her role as a prisoner. The group outside felt like parents witnessing their child learn a valuable lesson. However, the princess got too immersed and joined the humans in cursing the Demon King's group as disgusting demons. When they heard her say this, they were infuriated beyond tolerance. Princess Quiet doesn't understand why she followed the Demon King's wishes and still failed, so she believes that her daily behavior is that of a genuine hostage. And although she often causes trouble, the princess realizes that the demons here treat her very well. After a while, the princess suddenly put on a tracksuit and crazily ran away from the castle. The Demon King seemed unworried because the castle was surrounded by many traps. However, the princess easily overcame them at an alarming speed, leaving him stunned. Everyone was shocked to learn that the princess wanted to return to the human kingdom. Therefore, the generals quickly led their troops to chase after her and capture her. But she easily dodged the generals and threw traps like a ninja to stop them. She even glided over the poisonous swamp around the castle, leaving everyone speechless. However, the Demon King teleported across the swamp and set a bed inside an iron cage to trap the princess. The sleep-loving princess jumped onto the bed and was then locked in. It turns out the princess risked her life running back to the human world because she wanted to buy a new massage pillow advertised on TV. But the Demon King feared that if he let the princess return to the human kingdom, she would escape. So she told the Demon King to go buy the pillow with her to keep an eye on her. The princess praised the Demon King and everyone here as very kind, so he immediately agreed to go with her. They had to disguise themselves to avoid being recognized when entering the human city. However, their disguises were so silly that passers-by thought they were a circus troupe. The Demon King instructed the princess to hurry up and buy the pillow and then return quickly. But she only cared about buying snacks. Where did she get the money to buy them? She had stolen money from the Demon King's treasure chest to come here and shop. Right after that, everyone saw a store selling the type of massage pillow the princess liked. But the princess demanded to buy the luxurious version, not the ordinary one, so everyone had to squeeze into the crowded line waiting to buy the pillow. However, the Demon King mistakenly stood in the line for a lottery draw for fireworks viewing seats. After more than a few hours of tired waiting, it was finally the group's turn to buy the pillow. But the princess fell asleep on Kai's back. She was the one holding all the money until that afternoon. Only then could everyone buy a massage pillow. Since they didn't bring enough money to stay overnight, they had to find a secluded place to teleport home. However, the city was hosting a fireworks festival today. It was so crowded that there was nowhere for them to teleport. The Demon King and his two minions were thinking of ways to get home when the princess insisted on staying to watch the fireworks. So, they had to agree to sit back, drink water, and watch the fireworks with her. The princess lay on the massage pillow to experience sleeping in the festive atmosphere. But she couldn't sleep at all because the massage pillow was vibrating uncomfortably. While sitting and watching the fireworks, the Demon King thought about the conflict between humans and demons. He hoped that he and the princess could be friends, not enemies. After the fireworks, everyone found a quiet place to teleport back. But the Demon King's back was broken from carrying the princess and the damn vibrating pillow. When they returned to the castle, the princess gave the massage pillow to the teddy bears because she didn't want to use it anymore, despite everyone's efforts to buy it for her. Soon after, the Demon King saw the princess still in the dungeon. Suddenly, Kai announced that the hero was about to arrive in a new area under construction and not yet completed, so the Demon King went ahead. Happy then came to the princess because he wanted to invite her to a sleepover party. The Demon King later met the hero team and told them to go left, not straight. Remember, don't go straight. The hero, as if possessed, still went to the left that night. When the Demon King was about to go to sleep, the princess came to him wanting the Demon King to join the sleepover party. She thought a sleepover party was a human noble's party about the topic of sleep. The Demon King had to explain that a sleepover party is where people come and talk about love and such. He thought she must have a crush on her fiancé or something, but she would rather bite a bomb and die than have a crush on that guy. The Demon King then had to sit down and try to give her advice, but she had no experience in love, so she wanted to hear the Demon King's story. She wondered if humans and demons could fall in love. The new demon priest arrived and was shocked to hear this because he thought the Demon King and the princess were about to have something together. He stepped in and asked the Demon King what he had done. He claimed that the two were just practicing, nothing more. But hearing this, the demon priest was even more eager to fight than the princess. She found it too noisy, so she decided to go back to her room to sleep and told Happy that she was no longer interested in the sleepover party. We all know that a succubus is a demon that lives by seducing men and draining their life force. However, no matter how hard she tried to seduce everyone, no one paid any attention to this succubus named Safkin. Safkin wished that she could always be surrounded by people, just like the princess. While the princess was deep in thought, a carpet demon screamed out loud because he thought Safkin was the princess. Safkin was overjoyed, thinking she could become like the princess. She then took on the task of delivering food to the princess. Safkin asked the princess to teach her how to become like her. Upon hearing this, the princess thought Safkin wanted to be her body double. Immediately after, the princess smashed a wall with scissors and made Safkin follow suit to increase her strength. The princess also made her practice throwing bombs to escape from prison. The princess even tied up Safkin and dragged her to brutally massacre the carpet demons. The princess let Safkin experience all the tasks she usually does every day. Safkin was extremely regretful when she realized that this princess was a bit short-circuited. The princess said that the most important lesson Safkin had to learn was not to fear death. To train Safkin, the princess tried to push her into the lava. However, the princess fell into the lava herself due to a crack in the rock. The demon priest had to resurrect the princess at the temple, as he had done many times before. Since then, the princess has demanded to train Safkin every day to be her body double when she needs to escape. Not long after Christmas came, the princess wrote a letter and hung it by the window for Santa Claus to read. The Demon King and his minions took the opportunity to read the princess's letter while she was asleep. But they were all shocked when they learned what her wish for Santa Claus was. The Demon King called an emergency meeting to find out why the princess wanted to go home at this time. When the princess woke up, she couldn't find her letter anywhere. So she went to the Demon King's council room to look for it. It turns out the princess wanted to return home to get her special Christmas edition shorts. Fearing the princess would escape again, the Demon King decided he had to escort her home once more. Immediately after, the Demon King and the demon priest used a teleportation spell to bring the princess back to her bedroom, but instead of looking for the shorts, she started showing off her dress wardrobe. She even pulled out an album of her childhood photos to show off, driving the Demon King mad. Just as he crawled onto the bed looking for the shorts, the princess rolled over and fell asleep. It had been a long time since she had lain on her own luxurious bed and the queen's. Passing by the princess's room, the queen heard the voices of the whole group inside, thinking the princess had just returned home, so she went in to check her room but found her lying on the bed. At that moment, it was Safkin, while the princess had been pulled into the wardrobe by the Demon King and the demon priest, who had brought Safkin in a bag as a decoy. Somehow, the queen mistook Safkin for the real princess. Seeing her mother so bewildered, the Demon King finally understood. Why had the princess turned out like this? They all needed to find a way to rescue her because if Safkin was discovered to be a demon, humans would surely execute her. But the princess kept carelessly dressing in an extremely flashy outfit as if she were going to a party, forcing the Demon King's group to keep looking for hiding spots because the knights in the palace were patrolling very strictly. Meanwhile, the queen was announcing to all the citizens that their princess had returned safely, and the hero was dragging himself along. After returning from the dungeon, they saw the princess's return on TV, but somehow the entire kingdom thought Savkin was the real princess. As people called for Savkin to say a few words, the demon king and the demon priest appeared from behind to control the guards, and the princess, having put on a hat, hid behind to speak on behalf of the princess, letting the people know that since being kidnapped, the demons had treated her very well, and the castle guards were also very surprised to hear her words on TV. Immediately after, the princess put on a mask and disguised herself as the demon king. She went outside, grabbed the demon king, and told him and the demon priest to use their flying magic to take everyone away from this place. However, the queen recognized that the person wearing the mask was indeed the real princess. Knowing that the princess was very happy with the demon king's people, she let her go without showing any worry. Everyone at the demon king's castle was very joyful to see the princess return to them. Thus, the entire castle organized an extremely splendid Christmas party to commemorate this event. The movie ends here. Goodbye.